Wall Street, October 24th, 1929. In 6 hours, $14 billion vanished, more than Canada's entire economy. 13 million shares dumped in panic. Manhattan's phone lines collapsed. The ticker tape ran hours behind. Brokers screamed across the marble floor. They called it Black Thursday, but almost nobody remembers what really triggered it. Not the market one man. A banker the press nicknamed Sunshine Charlie. Charles Mitchell, the most trusted banker in America. Every Robinhood trade, every Binance leverage position, it all runs on the system he built. 25 million jobless, 1 in 4 working adults, 5,000 banks shuttered, 2 million sleeping in cardboard shelters, suicides up 30%. One banker's signature cost a country a decade. The question is how? Follow the money and you'll see exactly who's in the crosshairs. The year is 1921. New York, Wall Street. A man sits in the chairman's seat of National City Bank, the largest bank in the country. After the US presidency, this is the most powerful chair in America. The bank's assets, $2.7 billion, larger than the entire annual budget of France. In today's money, around 50 billion. His name is Charles Mitchell, 44 years old, the son of a traveling salesman from Massachusetts. Worked his way through college on scholarship, walked into Wall Street as an outsider, and climbed to the top in 10 years. Ambitious, impatient, still hungry, Mitchell looks out his window at Wall Street, and what he sees bothers him. 100 million people live in America, but only 500,000 of them own stock, half of 1%. The other 99.5% live in the capital of capitalism, but get nothing from it. The money was there. But the money was locked in the vaults of 50 families in Manhattan. And Mitchell asks himself a question. What if I take the stock market and turn it from a privilege into a mass product? And then he says the sentence. Remember this sentence. Every American should be a capitalist. Why should wealth belong only to the wealthy? 1921. Spoken by the most powerful banker on Wall Street. A century later, the homepage of Robinhood says the exact same thing. But underneath Mitchell's slogan, there was something else, a mechanism, a trap that would make the dirtiest loan shark on the street corner blush. And Mitchell figured out how to make 100 million people fall in love with it. 2 years earlier, 1919, Mitchell isn't the chairman of the bank yet, but he's running a subsidiary, National City Company, and he's restructuring it. One purpose, sell stocks to ordinary Americans inside the bank branches. Cross-selling, a model Wall Street had never seen before. You, an ordinary American, walk in to open a savings account. You walk out with shares of General Electric in your pocket, a stock certificate, the same piece of paper Rockefeller holds. Mitchell deploys a specially trained sales force across 69 branches, hundreds of salesmen. These were not boring bankers. Mitchell gave them a name, Peddlers of Dreams. And here's a detail nobody talks about. Mitchell didn't learn how to sell dreams from a book. He was the son of a traveling salesman in Massachusetts. He knew exactly what ordinary people hungered for, not by reading psychology, but by remembering what his own father said to customers. The ad copy was this: get rich on $15 a month. Become a partner in AT&T. Your children will be proud of you. A century later, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, the same 3 sentences, different font. The dream sellers looked customers dead in the eye and said, Mr. Johnson, you really want to work for someone else your whole life? Mrs. Smith, your husband works at Ford. What if you owned a piece of Ford? 1920s, America had never heard sentences like these before, and it fell in love, because the dream was beautiful, a house of your own, a brand new Ford, a winter vacation in Florida, college for the kids. Within 5 years, National City Company became the largest retail securities operation in American history, and Mitchell wasn't just selling stocks, he was manufacturing them. Late 1928, Anaconda Copper. The stock was $40. Mitchell and 2 partners pooled 1.3 million shares. The order went to his salesman, sell Anaconda. 3 months later, the stock was 128. Mitchell quietly sold his own shares. A few months after that, the stock was $5. Ordinary Americans bought at 120. They watched it crash to 5. Mitchell made 20 million. The name for this is pump and dump. 100 years later, the crypto world uses the exact same words. But all of this, the entire sales machine, was just the top floor of the building. The real genius was one floor below, the real trap, and Mitchell had already pulled the pin. So, what was Mitchell's trap? Margin lending. An ordinary American only had to put down 10% of a stock's price out of his own pocket, the other 90%. National City Bank loaned it to him, $10 for $100 of stock. It felt like free money. But there was one condition. If the stock dropped, the bank could demand its money back instantly, margin call. The pin had already been pulled. All that was left was the trigger, the Federal Reserve, America's central bank. In early 1929, the Fed chairman, Roy Young, looks at the numbers, and he is horrified. Stocks are growing independently of the economy. Corporate shares are selling for 15 times their annual profit. This was speculation. This was a bubble. This was a bomb. February 6, 1929. The Fed sends a one-sentence official warning to every bank in the country. Stop issuing margin loans for stock speculation. The market reacted instantly. By the end of March, the Dow dropped 10%. The call money rate shot to 20%. Panic was building. People believed the bubble was about to burst, and in that exact moment, Mitchell changed history. March 26, 1929. Mitchell holds a press conference. The most powerful banker in America openly defies the central bank. With one sentence, National City Bank will provide the market with as much credit as it needs. This duty stands above the Federal Reserve's warning. The effect was immediate. The next morning the headlines read, "Sunshine Charlie saves the market." Stocks bounced back. Within a week, every loss was erased. New records were set. That day, Mitchell was America's hero. But what he actually did that day was sign the death warrant of millions of people, and the execution date was only 7 months away. Imagine this, it's September 1929, you have $100 in your pocket, but the stocks you bought on margin are worth $5,000. On paper, you're rich. You read the success stories in the newspaper. Your neighbor just bought a new house. Your boss quit the factory to become a full-time trader, and you say to yourself, I need to buy more. The train is leaving. That feeling, all of 1920s America was living it. The Dow Jones hit 381. That record wouldn't be broken for 25 years. In the final months, 3 million new Americans entered the market. Shoe shine boys started giving stock tips. But not everyone was Joseph Kennedy. There was a man named Edgar Brown. He had $100,000 to his name. The National City Bank ad promised financial safety. He walked in. He walked out with Anaconda copper in his pocket. October 4th, 1929. Brown saw the market falling. He ran to the branch. He wanted to sell everything. He told the Senate himself, I was surrounded at once by all the salesmen in the place. They pressured me to keep my securities. Brown couldn't leave the branch, couldn't sell his stocks. His $100,000 vanished in 3 weeks. Edgar Brown wasn't made up. His name is in the Senate records. Smart money was quietly exiting in small pieces to avoid crashing the market early. October 24th, 1929. The largest funds in New York made a coordinated decision. It was time to leave. They sold in massive blocks, hundreds of thousands of shares at once. Prices fell slowly at first. Then it became an avalanche. 13 million shares sold, 5 times the normal volume. Brokers couldn't process orders. The phone system collapsed, and the avalanche Mitchell had unknowingly triggered began. Falling prices forced the banks to demand more money from margin investors. They had no money. They were forced to sell, which pushed prices down further. The avalanche grew. The falling stocks were now worthless as collateral. Banks shut off the credit. The market's blood supply ran dry. And the final stage, the banks that had issued margin loans collapsed, one after another. The most exposed first, then all of them. October 29th, Black Tuesday, in a single day, $14 billion vanished, more than America spent in all of World War I. But these numbers don't tell the real story. The real story begins on Brooklyn Bridge. A mechanic from Detroit had put his life savings into Ford stock. When the stock collapsed, the bank demanded another $3,000 from him. He hanged himself in his garage. In New York, the lines weren't only outside the banks, they were also at the bridges. Brooklyn Bridge became the symbol of despair. People who thought they were millionaires the day before jumped from it. 25 million Americans lost their jobs. 1 in 4, 5,000 banks closed. Millions of families ended up on the street. They lived in cardboard boxes in tent cities called Hoovervilles. This lasted 10 years. For 10 years, America paid the price of Mitchell's sentence. And the man who caused this, did he ever face the consequences? Mitchell is summoned to the Senate. Senator Carter Glass sits across from him and asks one question: do you hold yourself responsible for the ruin of millions of American families? Mitchell's answer will freeze your blood. I wanted to give people the chance to get rich. I forced no one to buy stock. Zero remorse, zero acknowledgement. That same year, he was prosecuted for $850,000 in tax evasion. He resigned, but the bank? This is where it gets disgusting. National City Bank received government support. Stamped too big to fail, its competitors collapsed. National City picked up their assets for pennies. By 1935, the bank was larger than it had been before the crisis. Mitchell died in 1955, 78 years old. He never accepted responsibility, and the system didn't die with him. It just went digital. It's in your phone now. Let's come to the present. Millions of people are trading stocks from their phones. Margin loans are at a record high, around $900 billion. The average American owes more than they earn in a year. Robinhood's slogan, anyone can be an investor, zero commissions, trade like a pro. Mitchell's sentence from 1928, every American should be a capitalist. The same sentence, 1 century apart. The new generation is putting their money into crypto, meme stocks, with margin, with leverage. Screaming to the moon. Most of them don't even know where their money's going. They're just watching the charts turn green, just like in 1929. And the Federal Reserve's latest warnings sound exactly like the ones from February 1929. Margin trading has now exceeded 1929 levels. And millions of people are saying the same sentence again. This time is different. No, it's not different. It's the same. So, what happened to Mitchell? After the Senate's pecora investigation exposed his role, he was forced to resign in 1933. That same year, he stood trial for tax evasion and was acquitted. He held on to the bulk of his fortune. He moved to a smaller investment bank. He kept working. In 1955, at the age of 78, he died in his home, in comfort. History books labeled him the architect of the crash, yet he died in his bed. Meanwhile, the ordinary American, 25 million unemployed, 5,000 failed banks, 2 million homeless, cardboard shacks in Hoovervilles, a fracture etched into the memory of a generation. The same people always pay the price. Follow the money, it will show you the truth. The